we've got everybody, Roy, and actually Roy was the only one that wasn't going to be able, Perna wasn't going to come either, but he fooled us again, and he's here, so that's good. So I'll call this regular meeting of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:03. Dave Horvath is not here. He may jump in. I was expecting him, but he didn't say he wasn't coming, so I was expecting him to be here, but he may jump in at some point. And I know Dr. Carver said she's going to be here between here and the Board of Finance meeting. So if she jumps in at some point, we can get any input or update from her. But otherwise, I have to jump back and forth between all my, so public input, there isn't any public here, so everyone else is part of the team. So we'll move on to correspondence, which the only thing that I have, and I checked in with Kathy earlier too, are invoices. So I don't think there's any other additional correspondence that's not part of the reports, et cetera, that Geraldine sent out and that we have for invoices, et cetera. So approval of meeting minutes. We have 2 to do. So I will make, it's somewhere here. I will make a motion that we approve the special meeting minutes from August 25, 2020. I need a second.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds, John seconds, everybody seconds. And you've had these for a little bit, so you should have had time to review them. I don't know if you have any input or corrections. I don't know if it's this one or the other one. So I have a sort of a correction update for these minutes, Kathy, if you can kind of put that in there. So when I did the update for the police station project, I did say that the Board of Selectmen had voted to hire an engineering firm to evaluate. I didn't say specifically the firing range. It says police station project, which I think I wasn't specific, and Dion just put it in as police station project. So if you could make that update that it's the firing range, not the entire project, that would be helpful. So, and again, it was just me not being clear on that specific reason for hiring the engineering firm, that it was to review the exterior of the firing range. Other than that, I don't know if anybody else has anything to put into those minutes. All in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye, aye, aye. Anybody opposed? Who wasn't here? Everybody was here. Okay, so nobody has to abstain. So we're good with that. And then I have to go back to the other page. I make a motion that we approve the special meeting minutes from Tuesday, September 1, 2020.
Second.
Is that Dave again with a second? Thank you, Dave. And I think we're good with those minutes. I don't know if anybody has any other input or additions, corrections, etc. We're good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. And let's see, Perna was absent, so you have to abstain. All right, good with that. And moving on to the school projects. Do we want to start? Do we need an overview, or do we need to just jump into the progress because we don't have reports? We didn't get reports.
Yeah, because they were busy trying to get the schools ready and get the TCO approved. There is not a written report from Rizzo. And so I will just start by saying that we did receive TCOs on both schools, and occupancy today was allowed and authorized, and school did start. So probably not without its individual issues, but the school's opened, and so that part, that as far as that goes, there's a success there. My report, just to preface it, was written Thursday night, so quite a bit before today, and many things I'm assuming have changed. So I think we probably should start with an update from Rizzo, and then maybe some backfill by Rick to talk about how we got to occupancy and where we need to go from here in the short term. And then maybe Bob can also chime in on how things ended up today.
Sounds like a good plan. So Ken and Jim, I'm assuming Ken's there with you. If you can give us your update.
So the update is the Chris and Tom went through and they gave us a list on Friday of what was part of the conditional TCO. We've since gone through and corrected I think three of there were like 8 items on this list. We got the Knox box in today, but I don't believe we were able to get it installed. The sprinkler heads up on the second floor of Rockwell were installed Saturday, and so those were all set. They were always in. They just needed to be dropped into the wood panel ceiling. And there were a few other items at Johnson that were taken care of over the weekend. And then, of course, throughout the weekend, we had just clean up signs and a lot of items that, needed to be checked over for occupancy. And I think as far as the commissioning portion, I'd let Rick go over that part.
Hi, how is everyone? Thank you, Ken. So as far as the commissioning, just to touch base and add to what Ken had mentioned, over the last 2 weeks, we have issued reports for Johnson and Rockwell based on a ventilation for achieving the associated ventilation within those 2 schools. As discussed at last week's meeting, there was a list of minor items that had to be addressed for achieving the minimum outdoor air ventilation, and above and beyond that, some recommendations as well. Those items over the last week have been reviewed by the mechanical contractor and also by Rizzo, and the documentation that was needed, such as letters validating that the dampers were locked in the associated position to avoid mechanical failure, confirming that all the fan coil units were in high speed, confirming all the outside air dampers were in proper positioning. All of that was reviewed and a letter provided and signed by the contractor. So those concerns from a ventilation standpoint were achieved by Action Air and by Rizzo. So I'm not sure. I'll let Bob jump in if he has anything on anything on the ventilation side. If any questions or anything else to add on that.
No, I'm good, Rick. I'm good.
Okay. So that's so again, that's my. I wasn't sure if there was any other questions, updates anybody has. I know I gave a main update last week. I can certainly touch more on the ventilation, if needed. Nancy, if you'd like me to talk more about any specific item.
I think if anybody has questions, we can do that. I know it's going to be an ongoing process because you're at the place where we need to be right now for schools open, et cetera. And I know there's more work to be done and more obviously commissioning on your part as we move through this, getting things completed, but also moving into the fall and looking at the process of once we get other parts of this up and running.
Absolutely. So what was implemented was strictly as a temporary basis. You know, it's a temporary basis, but again, this achieves all the minimum outdoor air requirements. It achieves the ventilation requirements. It ensures ventilation air is achieved. You know, also on the DOAS units themselves, for providing the fresh air, dehumidification mode and also cooling mode was reviewed as well, so that any outside air that's being brought into the building, as the contractor is still working on bringing the actual chiller online, all that air that's being brought into the building will be conditioned. So, you know, it will be cool to the associated temperature. And then if there's a dehumidification set point, all that outdoor air being brought into the building will be, you know, adjusted accordingly. But again, that's just outdoor air. It's not handling any of the current air in the building. What we will be doing is come October 15th, when the boilers come online, I would say probably prior to that, 2 to 3 weeks prior to that, we will be going through the entire heating system as well, just to make sure everything is checked out, working accordingly for all of the associated systems, fan coil units, boilers, everything on the water side is tested, balanced, and checked out as well. But this is also a good time too, because we are checking the ventilation mode. I mean, really right now, this is your prime time for economizer mode, which is free cooling, utilizing your outdoor air damper at 100% to bring in 100% fresh air. So from a outdoor air standpoint, you know, mid-September, end of September, early October, you know, it's really an ideal time we have to be optimizing, you know, all the outside air with having the dehumidification mode implemented in the DOAS units.
Okay, good. Thanks, Rick. Does anybody have any
Thank you.
specific questions for Rick? Or I don't know if Ken or Jim from Rizzo have anything they need to get from Rick?
No, we're good.
Okay, Bob, did you have something?
Yeah, just, was the filters changed at all?
Yes.
Yes, notification was received from the contractor that all the filters were changed.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
The contractor did provide that on a letterhead, yes.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so are we good with Rick for now? Or completely? Carolyn, is there anything?
I just want to point out, I don't want to reiterate what Rick said, that we're operating in a temporary mode that is not part of the design of either system or part of the original commissioning plan, just so that everybody remembers. We still need to bring all those systems online in their originally designed and specified mode, commission them, and part of that is the heating system that we're talking about for October. Probably the cooling systems will not be commissioned in their originally designed parameters until next cooling season, unless we somehow stumble upon a heat wave at the end of September.
I mean, honestly, Geraldine, even if we do come across the actual heat wave itself, that's a great point. Water balancing is not complete.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a whole nother hurdle in itself. So the odds are very good that from a cooling standpoint commissioning, this will be deferred until next summer as far as the acceptance of the chiller itself.
And so the project team has some work to do right now with Bob to determine where we're going from here. You know, originally we were going to commission under the original specifications and then shift, you know, allow the school district to shift into a mode that's enhanced or adjusted for the COVID guidelines. At this point, we're not in either one of those places. So we need to determine how we're going to commission the equipment and then how Bob and the school district, the school system want us to leave it. So we're still working out those details.
There is an update on the chillers. For Rockwell, they're doing a manufacturer startup on September 11th.
Of all days.
That's Friday.
Okay.
This Friday. It's not going to be ready for commissioning at that time. They're just doing the startup. And then for Johnson, September 15th.
Okay. Thank you, Ken.
Sure.
And then, Rich, did you just have a question?
Yes, I did. With them having to go back in the fall for the heat and possibly in the spring, is there any extra charge for their services?
Well, I think the original, we may have to look at that because their original contract would have taken us through all the seasons.
That's correct. They still would have had work to do going forward. However, I will say that IES has presented an additional services proposal. I just got it today, so I'm going to go over it. It would not be for these in-scope services, but certainly to cover some of the additional work that they did in the last 4 to 6 weeks while we waited for systems to come online, and also to assist us in ensuring that the systems that are operating now were safe and complied with the code that Chris and all the parameters Chris Baldwin was looking for. So just to give you a heads up, we will be I would be supporting, and we will be presenting at the next meeting an additional services proposal from IES. But the ongoing commissioning that has to happen is not, it's not part of that.
What my concern is, if it goes into next year, next spring, is that going to be reimbursable and everything?
So if it's commissioning, that's part of our original contract itself.
It would be.
If it's deferred to the next season, there is no additional charge for that because we own that regardless. This additional charge for commissioning was to bring the systems online as a means of providing ventilation air only, which was, it was always the intention to review the systems as part of ventilation, but there was a substantial amount of work above and beyond to not review the original system parameters. So what we really did was only review outside air. We still have to go back and basically review the entire sequence of operation for Johnson and Rockwell, which is why there is that small extra services charge for Johnson and for Rockwell schools, yes. But as far as anything being deferred, the only time there would be an extra is if we go a couple times of reviewing a system and something varies. So if we're told to review the chiller next week and they try to push it in for an approval this year, we review it next week and it doesn't pass commissioning, then we look at it again in 2 weeks and it doesn't pass again. At the third time, yes, there would be an extra services charge. So to defer testing, no, by no means is there any extra services.
But their regular fees for services that they would normally be providing into next year as the heating and cooling systems change, part of their basic services are reimbursable, and there's not a chance that the state is going to close out this grant and this process in the first 6 months of next year. So I don't think that there's any danger of us missing a reimbursement or an evaluation on the state grant.
Right.
Okay.
Usually commissioning goes out for almost a year.
Right.
To look at each season to make sure that the systems are working as designed, as commissioned. It's a reason for them to do the commissioning, to make sure we get through each season in a proper way. Looking at the controls, they'll probably get remote access if they don't have remote access yet. So they can keep checking all of that, not having to be on site to do it. They can do it through the controls.
And remote access is certainly a great thing to have, because, we are able to set up the trend data. We are able to look at the systems during off times and occupied mode and really just look at the systems as a whole and coordinate with Bob any questions, recommendations, and finalize our report.
Right. That's the way we had it set up with the police station, where they were able to get in through different seasons and remotely and look at each and then give us a report in each season. So that was helpful.
Exactly, and we'll be doing, the exact same thing. I understand remote access is very close. It might even be available at this time, but it's still being coordinated for us at this particular time.
Okay. Rich, did you have anything else?
That's good to hear. But one of my other questions is, who's going to be presenting the bills and everything back next June? I mean, is Geraldine and their team still going to be here presenting bills to us?
Yes. I mean, that's part of what we have to do is we have to get through
Close out, yeah.
all of the closeout and whenever, I mean, they talked about, or at least Geraldine did, with STV, looking at closeout being months and months away. So they're on board for getting us through that, as is the rest of the team.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else for Rick? Anybody? Thanks, Rick, and thanks to you and your team for helping us to get things going and keep things going so we can get to having a successful school opening today.
Of course, thank you. I'm happy to hear everything went well.
All right. Now, Ken, you probably have more construction update for us.
Basically, we are now switching gears to finishing up some of the items within the school that we have to. We have some terrazzo grinding to do at Rockwell that we're going to have to schedule. We're looking at Friday into Saturday and having cleaners with them and plasticking off the areas that they're working for dust control. That's not, I don't have confirmation on that yet, but that's what we were looking at. And then, there'll be some punch list work starting to be scheduled so that we can start knocking the punch list off at both schools. And we're still continuing with the site work around the building and all of the interiors for each school, cafeteria, gym, music areas for both schools in Loading Dock. And that's what our focus is now is to get out of those areas, finish up, and move on.
So Ken, are there items that you can do during the day while staff and students are in the school, or are you having to schedule everything 3 to 11 or weekends?
Now, all of our work right now is scheduled like separate from the school. There's the kitchen that's, kind of there, but, there's temporary entranceways so that we can continue with our work. And, for the most part, the only thing today that I saw, we had to wait a little bit at the front of the cafeteria on the outside until after the buses left. And they're just putting on these sunshades on the cafeteria outside window. And so, they were able to get back to work right after the buses. So we're pretty much able to do everything. The roofer, will be doing his edge metal from the roof. So he shouldn't be disrupting anybody inside the building. And so, our work right now is far enough away so it shouldn't disrupt any of the students or teachers. But, that's what we always have to keep an eye on just to make sure that it doesn't. But we're able to keep going during the day.
But then there'll be other items where you'll have to schedule it either after hours or on weekends, like the terrazzo grinding.
Yeah, there will be a few items that come up that we'll have to do that. but for the most part, we're okay working separately right now.
Okay. I see that Dr. Carver jumped in, and I know she's back and forth between us and Board of Finance. So do you have something that you need to, like, do you have to go back to Board of Finance soon?
I do. So it's convenient when you're at Zoom, right? When you're home, you just jump from one agenda to another. So I was just curious, did Ken already give his update?
He's kind of been a little bit, and then we had Rick Bialecki come in and do some on HVAC and commissioning. And
Sure.
now we're back to Ken giving some updates on what they're up to.
I guess I wanted to understand, and I know I sent an email over the weekend, Geraldine. Where are we with the status of the things that Nick DeAgostino or his father brought up in terms of the electrical for the you know what I'm talking about, Geraldine, right? The alarm systems. Did you guys already talk about it?
We haven't, and I don't have an update on the security, on the progress on the security system. So I think that would be an important thing for Ken and Jim to report on.
Yeah, that's not a problem. It's very similar to where we were Saturday, Dr. Carver. We got the duress back boxes in for ESC. So now it's just a matter of coordinating them to get the duress buttons installed. The lockdown wiring is in there. We're talking at Rockwell right now. And then the issue we were having with the intrusion was because of the phasing, there are still doors that are offline, and apparently that's a problem for the programming and being able to set up just a portion of the school on intrusion. So I still don't have a good answer on that from Ferguson. I'm waiting for a return call from their vendor so we can get some questions answered on that.
And what about Johnson?
Very similar. The only thing that's lagging there were the camera patch panels. I would expect that by the end of this week, those are complete as well. But very similar as far as wiring, duress buttons, things like that.
So do you think they'll be operational at the end of this week?
I have to get with ESC tomorrow to find out exactly where they're at or if there are any issues that they have, but I don't see any reason why it couldn't be.
And what about the camera systems, Bob? I know you mentioned that came up also, right?
Not yet, not tonight.
Well, no, but I mean on Thursday at the meeting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I know, where are we with the camera systems? Is that something that's with, I don't even know who it's with now.
It kind of with Ferguson, because they have to, there are some cameras not ran yet, the cabling, mainly in the areas that are not finished. But they are terminating to a point where maybe at some point we can hop on and view them. But see, right now we can't do nothing through remote. You could be done there because they wanted me to come when they're ready to start aiming them correctly.
Right, but who's coordinating all that? Like,
So where we're at with that right now is at Rockwell, you're in better shape than we are at Johnson. And Johnson was still waiting for the completion of the patch panels by Ferguson. In Rockwell, that work is done. So I think that's just a coordination with the camera installation. So I'll have a better answer for you tomorrow on the cameras at Rockwell, and then I'll see what the progress is on the patch panels at Johnson as well.
Jim, just let me know when he wants to sit down and aim them, because I'm going to have the resource officer there as well.
Okay, I'll make a note of it, Bob.
And Jim, can I ask one other question before I jump off? When I know Joe Collada's coming tomorrow. He's on the call to do a punch list, correct?
Yes, I'm going to be finishing the first floor of Johnson tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'm assuming based on that conversation you just had that I kind of came in on, you're going to be scheduling those people after hours that have to do that work?
The punch list work?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, those will be after hours, or Wednesdays would be a big day, Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah, because you only have a couple Wednesdays, God willing. All right. I think that's all I have right now.
Well, if you come back in or if you think of something, I don't know, send us a chat.
Christine, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did you have any problem today with the traffic related to the construction?
No, that was the one thing we didn't have.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that we just have hundreds and hundreds of parents picking up. So it just means it's all the more important, Ken and Jim, that we can't have people going through deliveries and things like that during drop off and pickup, which is quite an extensive period of time. But until we get that rhythm better, I think it's gonna continue to be difficult.
Okay.
Drop off was much better than pickup.
So that brings up a question for me. I had a list of things I had jotted down that came up at the last meeting, and I know there were things that we were working on towards the start of school. One that I think Christine, you had brought up, and Bob too, was the site and some of the sort of piles of stuff on the site. And so has that gotten?
That, yeah, I mean, other than the big mound of dirt, yes, a lot of the site I thought got cleaned up before. I mean, it took some effort, but before, I would say up until Thursday, right, Bob?
Correct.
When
We still
parents
need,
came.
we
ahead.
still need a path out to the playground though, at Rockwell.
Oh, I thought they were working on that today, Ken.
Yeah, we finished it this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the stuff the only thing I think that's left is this big, it looks like a telephone pole, right, Bob?
Yes, it's laying across the grass at the bottom of the Rockwell.
I don't know who's responsible for that, but there's a telephone pole.
I think it might be Eversources.
Okay.
Are they gonna, is it something they need to install, take away? Do we know? Can you
I
check?
have no idea.
They dropped that off early in the beginning of the project and it just got overgrown. And we saw it again once we cleaned up all the grass.
So Ken, can you get that checked out and see if it's something that's we're supposed to be using, or are they supposed to come and take it away and we'll get that?
Yeah, I'll give him a call, send him an email, see what he wants to do with it.
Yeah.
The only other thing I mentioned to Ted over the weekend, and I didn't even think to look today when I was there, was did you guys, I call it next to the lake. You know what I'm talking to, Jim? There's like a big
Retention pond?
No, it's in the parking lot. It's like where you're supposed to grow grass. It's right next to that pad. I call it the lake at Johnson School. But I asked Ted to put a like one of those orange fences up so that just to block it off. Did he do that?
You know, I
didn't look either.
Later afternoon, I'd have to take a look.
Oh, that's outside the 5th grade edition?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe he did. When I was leaving, they were getting set up to do that, but I didn't see it finally installed.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, obviously they're doing site work, Nancy.
Yeah.
So they're still moving dirt and things like that. But in terms of what I was concerned about the debris, I think a lot. They took out the big metal roofing, right, Bob? So all of that is gone. It's definitely better.
The only issue I still have is I need the parking lot lights on at Johnson. At 6 o'clock this morning, it was kind of dark there.
I was told tomorrow. So that they were working on it today and that they'll be on tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, the Rockwell one looks really good.
They didn't say what time, so it may not be first thing in the morning, but they probably will be start working on it first thing.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
a
All
good
right.
possibility.
And I think, Jim, you're already aware of this, but I think that the issue in the kitchens with the plugs.
Yes.
Okay. When will that be fixed?
Just looking at it now, it's a question of specified breaker sizes versus what the equipment is. So just sorting through that today. We should have that resolved tomorrow.
Okay.
And we did have workarounds for most of it. There were sufficient breakers on outlets next to the equipment, things like that.
But as far as I know, the construction workers they've been staying totally. They were around when the teachers were around because they had so much stuff to finish up. But they wore their masks. Only occasionally did we have to say, "Put your mask on." So that was good. But they've been. At least I didn't hear anything today about them going on the side where the kids are, which they absolutely cannot. Bantam was doing some work before school started, but they were able. There's a couple of errors, but Geraldine knows about that with monitors. But I assume they can fix those tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the plan. They have the list. There was only one room that Donna gave me, which was not a room number that exists. So we're trying to track down who that teacher is and what the real problem is. But yes, there are 4 monitors at Johnson, I think, and 2 at Rockwell. And they're the priority for tomorrow to figure out. They have various issues. One doesn't run through the
Right.
speakers in the ceiling. One doesn't, the touch doesn't work. So they're going to look at those tomorrow.
And I added to that list this afternoon, Geraldine, because when I got there this morning, they actually hung the wrong monitors in a couple of the classrooms.
Yeah, they have that information as well.
Okay.
I think I checked that list fairly late this afternoon, but I'll check it again and make sure that Chris Jocks has the right information for tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I have a question. Did we ever get all those HDMI cables that were stored down the OPD?
I presume so, because that was what was needed to make some of those monitors work.
Right.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead. I saw ESC on site today, and I think they
Yeah.
had them, Bob.
Okay. Very good.
Christine,
Yep.
how did the Board of Ed walkthrough go? Were they pleased?
Yes, very, very. I think in general, Johnson looked great. I mean, there's definitely punch list stuff.
Yeah.
There definitely is. But just kind of how it was presented. I think Rockwell, was a little bit more work in terms of the cleaning that had to occur, but in general, they were, yes.
So all the cleaning that happened over the weekend was kind of good. It wasn't like they cleaned and then someone came in and did more work.
No, that did not, I did not see that happen. And I don't know, I'm not sure I'm not sure why. I think it's because Ted was there at Johnson. That's my guess. I mean, I would let Ken and Jim say that, but I know our custodians had to work a lot more on Sunday at Rockwell, right, Bob?
Correct.
Yes.
Right. Than Johnson.
But there'll still be obviously some work going on. And so there'll be some areas that'll need either extra cleaning or other areas that need a final cleaning, like before we get into the kitchens or before we get into the gym, etc. Those will probably have a final cleaning that'll need to be done at some point, I would assume.
Well, Christine, did you talk about the floors?
No, but it's on my list. I was going to talk to Joe Collada about it tomorrow. So
Okay.
I guess my question, and I sent an email this weekend, Jim. So at some point, do the floors get sealed? Because they, especially like the grout lines and all of those areas, I don't think they've been sealed yet. And I worry because they look so nice that they're going to continue to get dirt on them and it's not going to look as nice. And even on that other stuff in Rockwell, that Bob, what's that called? That
VCT.
Yes. At some point, does it get a good sealer or something on it? So I'm talking about the porcelain tile in the bathrooms and the main lobby areas, the VCT, and what else am I missing, Terry?
Well, you got to seal the grout. That
Right.
also has to get done.
Right.
Yeah, the tile
Especially the
gets
bathroom.
sealed and the tile does get sealed. And that's with the bathrooms and with the corridors. And
But when, Ken? Because I feel like they're getting dirtier and dirtier. And it's at some point you're going to be cleaning it. And I don't want to seal dirty grout.
yeah, I talked to him today about scheduling it. So he's going to get back to me. It'll probably be Friday night or, some night this week. He'll start sealing them.
And he'll do all the bathrooms.
Yes.
So, and they'll get cleaned first if they need to be cleaned first before they get sealed.
Yes.
Okay.
And what do you do to VCT tile? I don't even know. Can somebody
You
tell
whack-
me?
You put the multiple layers of whack. We do every summer. We do 7 layers. I don't know what the project's going to give us. Maybe
You've
Ken
only
can-
given us one, I believe, correct?
They just clean and wax it. That's it. So yeah, it's not a multi-layer.
So I guess are we supposed to do the rest? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you'd be taking it over to bring it up to, if you want to, really shine it, that's you'd have to add more wax to it.
It's not so much shining it. It's to be able to keep it protected with the movement of the desks and chairs. You want to have a good base layer. One coat is not it.
So what happens in the classrooms, they did their waxing in that large entry at Rockwell, they did their waxing. What didn't get waxed was the back stairwell at Rockwell. So other than that, though, the classrooms are waxed to what they're supposed to be in the specification, and so is that large corridor. So what we have to do now is have them come back and strip the lobby of the stairwell at Rockwell and have them wax that.
So then that means and I'm just asking for clarification. So we would need to put the additional layers on.
Right,
Or-
I'm gonna have to schedule that, you know, holidays, things of that nature, PD days, you know, periods where I can take the furniture, move it to one side, wax, move it to the other side, wax. Much like we do during the summer.
Okay.
Right, so in the specification, it says floor polish is to be applied as recommended by the manufacturer.
And what's recommended by the manufacturer?
I'd have to look at what was in the submittal and look that up. I don't have that answer right now for you.
That's probably what Jim just said,
Yeah.
clean in one coat.
It's definitely not enough.
But if that's what's in the
No,
document.
I know. I'm just saying, we're going to have to, Bob, we're going to have to put that on the agenda.
Yeah, before we start putting calcium chloride and salt on it. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
So Bob, you probably find from years of experience of how many coats you need to put on to have it last throughout the year.
7 will take us through the winter.
Mhm.
And this way here, we're not damaging it or scuffing it up really bad.
Right.
So Bob, can we utilize some of the Wednesdays?
Well, I'm hoping to.
Yeah.
I got to look to see how much product is available.
And I know we have to do our cleaning too. So
Yeah.
And you'll have to coordinate with, you know, with Rizzo to make sure like you're not polishing the floor in an area where they're going to come and work
right.
later on in the day or something like that.
Especially with the punch list
Yeah.
items or the paint touch up.
So I actually, back to when we were talking about site, whatever happened with the fence up on the hill near the bocce court kind of thing? Something was going on with that? Did that ever get resolved, installed, et cetera? Or are we still working on that?
They're still bringing topsoil in and grading the topsoil down the bank there. There is a bulletin that was issued for the fence, and that was sent out to the fence company, Atlas Fence, over at Rockwell.
Mm-hmm. So that that part of the site work, bringing topsoil and stuff, has to happen first before we start closing the area off with a fence.
Yes.
Okay. Rich?
Is the chain link fence that we talked about? I don't know if they issued a change order for that or not.
No, I don't have the proposal from the contractor yet.
Okay.
Bob, did you have something, or were you just,
No, nervous energy.
okay. All right, so as far as construction, Ken, do you have anything kind of like on the top of the list that we need to know about? I know you're in, like I said, you started out by saying you're in kind of a transition where you're having to deal with some punch list things, some other things that have to get completed, but also transitioning to getting into a regular schedule of getting the rest of the project completed.
Yeah, there is a bulletin that we've sent out, and I don't have pricing on it, and it's going to be rather extensive. It's on the going back and replacing the. It's going to be foil-faced insulation now at the exterior of both schools. At first, I had thought it was Johnson, but I had to do a double take because it's at Rockwell as well. And we have to go and get up there and put that insulation around the whole perimeter
Of
every classroom.
What do you mean?
Is that, yeah, can you I think we did talk about this at one point, but explain it a little bit more so we make sure we're,
Yeah, so at the exterior line of each school, there was some existing steel beams that were covered in paper-faced insulation that we had to take out. We took it all out, and now we have to put foil face back in. So that's what we were given a bulletin to do this for both schools.
Can you maybe explain where those areas are?
Is Joe on the call?
Yeah,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah,
right?
so it's all the areas where the bat insulation was requested to be, or required to be removed by the building official. So in an earlier meeting, we had described it as not being included in the energy model. But when we were looking at it further, and it's areas that are exposed, beams that are exposed to the exterior, there's no insulation protecting them. And it's above the ceiling. So we're concerned about sprinkler pipes being above ceiling and getting cold drafts on them and potentially freezing.
yeah.
How
I do remember that we did talk about this having to be removed. And I thought that the fact that it was being removed and not having to be replaced was what I'm remembering.
We were talking about that orange spray foam insulation, whatever that was.
Okay, that was different.
That different, yeah. It's in a similar area, but it's a different. So this is actually protecting all the steel beams at the perimeter of the building.
But couldn't we have done this before we put the skin on the building?
No, this is at the existing building.
Well, yeah, well, you're putting that panel board all the way up. All right.
You know,
I just don't know the
you have-
sequence of why you're doing it.
Bob, it's on the
You have big
inside.
rooms now, and you're going to go back into them, open the ceilings up, and make dust and dirt everywhere. Why wasn't it done?
Just got the bulletin August 20th.
From who?
From us,
Who was the bulletin from?
from Perkins Eastman.
Okay.
We issued the bulletin. Once we reviewed it, and I spoke to Joe Costa about it, we felt that it needed to be reinstalled to protect the building and the sprinkler piping above ceiling,
And why was it taken out in the first place?
because it was paper faced and it's combustible.
Right, got it.
But I guess I agree with Bob. Like, why was this not addressed at the time? I just don't understand.
Especially when we had no ceiling tiles.
You've closed everything up.
I just passed the above the ceiling inspection too.
All valid questions. So now we're gonna have to open the ceiling up and put that stuff back in there?
And clean the building after, the rooms after again.
Right. And when, people, when? Because you cannot get in those rooms. So I hope you're not planning to do it till next summer.
It's not that easy because you have these radiant panels that essentially keep you 2 feet off of the outside wall that you've got to work above to even get to that steel. So it's not a simple, pop a few tiles and put insulation up there. It's going to be a production.
But it would have been easier before the radiant panels.
That's what we're saying.
Yes.
So why wasn't this found out months ago?
I'm assuming you're talking to Joe Collada.
Well, general question. Anybody can answer it.
It was
By somebody else other than us.
once I reviewed it with Joe Costa following that building committee meeting, we felt that this needed to be installed. So it was that August meeting, and we addressed it as soon as possible after that.
But there wasn't any flags or jumping up and down or anything when it was decided that it had paper-based stuff had to be taken out?
No, we were told that it just has to be removed and nothing has to be put back.
I don't know, we can't see you, but if you can see us, we're all shaking our heads. You guys are gonna be working at midnight. It's like Christine said, you can't be doing it during the day. And who's gonna do the extra cleaning?
And I would hope because I do have to jump off, I would hope it's not something that has to be done before the weather turns.
Well, it sounds like it is because the sprinkler lines.
That's what I'm thinking.
So what other surprises can we expect that could come along? I mean, you know, these little things here are
They're not little,
biting us in the ass.
they're not little.
Yeah, not little at all.
Plus, you got to get a price on it yet too, right, Jim?
Well, that's what the directive's about. We're gonna have to get a price. Hello? So what do we have now? We have a design or a proposition or something like that from Perkins Eastman, and then we're gonna have to get, what's it gonna be, a big giant honking change order?
It's a bulletin, yes, and it is out for pricing.
Okay then, fun.
Joe, can I ask a question? Is it possible to look at these locations, and if the concern is where, you know, perhaps there's a panel over a window, or there's, you know, a particular stretch, I mean, it might even be cheaper to heat trace sprinkler line than it would be to do this. Is that something that was looked at? Is that something we can talk about?
Well, we could discuss it.
Even take temperature readings during a cold spell.
Okay, so this is definitely something that you guys are gonna have to look at, and you're gonna have to hopefully talk more about on your Thursday meetings and not take more time here tonight. I don't know if another option is doing any kind of fire safe, et cetera, spray foam up in that area. Would that be easier to stick a hose up in there and spray foam in rather than having to drag bats up there?
The problem with spray foam is it's also combustible. So it'd have to be multiple. We started to research that a little bit, but you basically have to do the spray foam, and then you'd have to coat it with an intumescent paint.
So there's not a non-combustible spray foam that you can do?
No, not that we found.
Okay. All right, well, you guys are gonna have to work on that. I know we're not gonna resolve that tonight. I'll end it by saying we're all pretty somewhat upset. I was gonna say disappointed. Upset's a good way to put it. I don't know what else to say. One other, so with cleaning, are there still obviously not just because you're going to make some construction mess that'll have to be cleaned, but are there areas that have to be cleaned? Are there final cleanings that need to be done with things like, you know, large window openings, et cetera? Or have those all been completed, or are we waiting on those until some construction is completed?
For now, the occupied areas have been cleaned. It's just when we finish up some of the other areas, we'll have to come back in and do more cleaning.
Okay.
You know, if we go in there to do a certain operation like the terrazza, we'll have to clean up after that contractor, make sure they don't make a lot of dust.
Okay. Any other questions for Ken, or Ken, do you have anything else for us? Even though we might
good.
on you for it.
No, I'm good.
Hey, Ken, what's going on with the other albatross at Johnson, the bank next to softball field? Any more progress or information? Because I see the dumpster pad that sticks out into the bank now, which was kind of a surprise also. Is there anything from your architectural engineering firm?
No, I haven't. I haven't received anything from Malone and McBroom on that yet. I was expecting it for today, but we didn't receive it today.
Because my understanding, I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there was supposed to have been an access way to the field, some type of a ramp for the meet handicap accessibility.
There is. It's to the north of the dumpster pad, or to the back of the site. And
Right. Okay.
That's actually north.
It goes down and kind of transverses over and back again type of thing?
Yes.
Okay, so that's part, but there's still, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the bank, Joe. It is pretty steep.
Yep.
Something has got to get done there because it's really bad. I mean,
yeah, they were out last week to review it. I sent them an updated picture once it was some of the rough grading was done, because it wasn't done when they were out there. So I sent them an updated picture on Thursday afternoon of what it looks like currently, or at least as of Thursday.
So can you kind of push them to get something to us for the next meeting? That's 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got to really.
Yeah, I was hoping to have it for tonight.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Rich,
Nancy.
Rich,
I'm speaking as the selectman right now. I think that field is rendered useless to the town. It's an awful design. It should have never happened the way it is. Those banks up against that field. I'm very disappointed in the design team that they didn't come up with a better scenario of how to deal with that bank before the ball field.
Rich.
In my opinion, that field is useless to the town of Bethel.
Rich, there was a design for that bank that got value engineered out of the project back in schematic design. So there was retaining walls, and there was design work done at that area that got VE'd out.
I don't know if you explained it to the commission, but now what we see, what's there, we're not very happy with it. You know, we had talked about even raising that field up at one point. That would have been the thing to do. Then the field would have been more at grade to be useful. I don't know if the Park and Rec has seen that field the way it is right now. And then my other question is, do we ever get that bid resolved for alternate 8?
I've asked them to take a look at it, and they said they would, and they just haven't got back to me yet. They were busy last week with the site work around the schools.
Well, I understand that they're busy with doing the site work, but isn't that somebody in the office looking at that bid?
Yes. I'll give them a call again tomorrow.
You need to push this. Everybody's going to be off site, and then they're going to say, well, we need $100,000 to bring the equipment back and do anything out there. We need to get moving on this. I don't think it'll even happen the way it's going right now. I really don't. I'm very disappointed in it.
but you still want the information, right, Rich? We want the information.
Well, I mean, once we get the information, then the Board of Ed has to, or Dr. Carver has to decide, do they still want to make that field the 30 feet wider on that side according to alternate 8? And how much more is it going to cost to do? Maybe they decided they won't want to do it anymore.
But we
Plus,
still,
it has to go back to planning and zoning for approval that never got approved.
but we still should have the information.
If they decide to do it.
We should still have the information.
Okay,
Yes.
I would like it by next meeting, if not before.
So we're going to have it by next meeting, right? Ken, Joe, whoever's supposed to be getting that, Ken?
Yeah, I will do my best to have it for next meeting.
We were supposed to have it for this meeting.
I never said that. I don't know. Maybe somebody else did.
Well, we asked you for it for this meeting.
I did try to get it for this meeting, but I just couldn't get it from the contractor.
All right.
Anything else for Ken or Jim? FF&E, technology, Geraldine, anything on that?
Yeah, just to report that all the furniture that was needed for the occupied areas was delivered. There are, of course, a couple of punch list items, a couple of refrigerators that were delivered without ice makers, that were supposed to have ice makers, you know, 1 or 2 damaged pieces. But in overall, the furniture was all installed for the start of school. There is furniture that it was decided would not be used, primarily tables, rugs, those sort of things. They're all still being stored up at the middle school, and there will be some additional furniture coming for the area still under construction. Some of that furniture is already at the middle school. Some of it's going to be brought up over the next month. But in general, we're in good shape on furniture. Obviously, all the classroom contents and the office contents were moved, and I didn't hear any major complaints, so we must not have lost too many boxes. And you heard from Christine, there are a handful of technology issues still to be resolved. We didn't have the display monitors in the classrooms installed until very late over this weekend, so there are still some issues with functionality on a handful of them, and ESC is still commissioning the that technology portion of the project, the audio-visual systems, the monitors, speakers. So they'll be on site tomorrow, and at the end of the day tomorrow, we'll find out what they have left to do. Their work is late, just primarily because the whole construction schedule kind of slid. And as we talked about earlier, there are a number of issues on the security systems that are unresolved, but we're working quickly to get them operational. And the playground purchase orders went out, yes, what is today? Yeah, yesterday or Friday. Playground purchase orders went out Friday, so we're working on scheduling that installation, again, targeting that for possibly the 3rd week of October.
So with the stuff that's being stored, like up at the middle school, et cetera, it'll be like the next couple of months, kind of into maybe November, when that'll all get moved where it needs to be. And
well, some of the items, it depends. Because the district is not using tables in any of the instructional spaces. So for instance, some of the tables had been assembled and they're stored up there assembled. Some of them are still in their boxes. It's really going to depend on decisions made as to when and how to rearrange classrooms and populate them with all of the equipment that was originally specified.
right, got it. Yep. Okay.
Nancy, we had to go back to desks.
Yeah. Yep.
And most of it relates to COVID requirements. So so the safest place was to store it indoors at the middle school.
Great. Okay. And you've got space to do that, and you don't have to worry about moving it here, moving it there every time you need another space.
Well, we'll have to do it when the time comes, but it's really not the furniture vendor's issue or Geraldine's. I mean, it had to be done because of COVID regulations.
Yep. Okay.
And also in some cases, like all the cafeteria tables are being stored because the cafeterias aren't ready yet. It's just more cost efficient to have them delivered and stored on site, since we're not using the gyms right now, rather than pay for a warehouse space. So
good. Okay. Can we go back a little bit, Ken and Jim? You touched on them working on the roof at Rockwell, doing the edging, et cetera. So are the roof sections at Rockwell that you had to not only do repairs on because of the roofers taking the HVAC stuff apart that they weren't supposed to, and then having to have it reinstalled by the HVAC people, is that getting taken care of, where ductwork's being installed properly, the supports are being installed properly, piping, et cetera, all that's being brought back to how it was supposed to be, or how it was before the roofers went and effed it all up.
Yeah, so the gas piping is back to new. The ductwork repairs and resealing of the duct is complete. We still have the issue of the overall insulation detail. And then that's not really related to the damage of the duct, but it's a detail of the covering for the insulation has holes in it from the way that it's attached, and then there was water getting into that covering. So DTC was out last week taking a look at that. I don't know if Joe, they've had a chance to get you anything on that, because we have the same details at Johnson.
I believe did I issue the field report to you today from him?
You might have. I didn't see.
Didn't see any.
All right, let me just check. Maybe I didn't send it. Punch list. Oh, all right, I'll send it out. I'll do it right now.
So there's that issue itself isn't due to the roofers or whatever. It's just something the way they, or the specifications showed for the installation isn't working, or isn't right, or isn't gonna work long term.
It's just something that we should definitely look at. I think the intent of the design is the waterproofing is actually underneath that protective coating, but let's make sure that the engineers looked at it and that's what he intended.
Okay. So sorry I jumped back, but I know playgrounds are going to be whenever. So is there anything more with FF&E technology or playgrounds on just that line bullet from the agenda, Carolyn?
Nope.
Okay.
That's it.
Budget review, do we want to know?
Yeah, let's see what the budget is doing today. Let me see where I can find my budget.
And Nancy, can I ask a question while Carolyn's looking for that?
Yep.
Maybe Ken can answer it. Do you know when the school signs are going to go up?
So the Rockwell sign is scheduled for tomorrow.
Oh, good.
The building sign. But we still have some other trades to go onto the site signs by the roads. Still, there's still some work to do there.
Okay.
So the ones that are away from the school, you don't want to put up immediately because there's still site stuff going on there?
Yeah, there's like some CMU we have to do and some phenolic panel, and then the letters can be applied.
Okay. And what about the flagpole? Johnson.
I'll check on that again, because I was told Friday, and they didn't show up, and then so I'm hoping tomorrow, but I don't want to say for sure. I gotta check on that one.
Yeah, we'll have to coordinate that one because that's right in front of the school, and that may be an interruption to the school.
Correct.
That's a good Wednesday job.
Yeah, I'm hoping it comes tomorrow. And I mean they go relatively quick. They just fill the big sonotube with sand and plumb it up.
Okay. Sorry, Jarlin.
Nope, that's fine. I see that I did not annotate the budgets, but this is the Johnson budget. And if you look just in the middle of the screen, you'll see that we still have over $2 million in owner's contingency at Johnson, plus 83,000 in the environmental contingency. So again, that budget's sitting very well. And at Rockwell, We are now at only 109, again, in the center of the screen, $195,000 left in contingency at Rockwell. With, in the CM contingency, a little over $300,000. So we're still keeping an eye on all of that. And we do not have tonight any PCOs to review, just because I think probably everyone, all the trades and the construction team were busy finishing up the school, so there were no PCOs that came through. So I included the PCO logs on in the mailing and on the shared drive, but there's really no change from last, from PCOs that were approved last week.
Well, we have some coming up that are going to slap us, is kind of what I'm expecting.
We do. We're still looking at Rockwell at the kind of the closeout of the abatement work. I'm still expecting PCOs for some PCB removal in terms of wall demolition. Let's see, what else are we, and that's not even on this sheet. But there are some PCOs that have not really been addressed yet. I guess not so many. There are a couple small things. This ejector pump circuitry has been hanging out there for a while, waiting for more information from Rizzo. Everything else has been resolved internally with the team. Let's see, I think at Johnson there might be.
There's that Ferguson one, obviously.
Well, yes, at both schools there is still the Ferguson feeder route change order.
Right.
I believe in both cases are still are right now with Rizzo to kind of finalize that negotiation. So here at Johnson, there's some ductwork, circuitry, piping for roof drains. We're waiting for information back from the construction manager. There is a submitted PCO from the steel fabricator for additional work they're claiming on the Johnson vestibule. You'll see that here in the amount of almost $55,000, but we have sent that back, and Rizzo is also negotiating that that change order. That, after evaluation by the design team, seems to be excessive. So that's still in the talking stage.
Okay.
But that's it for financial review this week.
Okay. The Rockwell Boiler Room, John Menti, do you have anything for us? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. No, I know, like I said, we met with Malcolm, and I know Bob has to send over to him some as-built drawings of the boiler room, pre and post construction. I think, Bob, did you get a chance to do that yet?
I'm still looking for the originals.
Okay.
I have obviously the new ones, but it's the originals. I'm still trying to dig that up.
Okay. So really, nothing else to report, Nance.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
So after meeting with him, he's kind of gotten started, but he still needs some info from Bob and the other
Yes.
info
Right.
to get the plan put together.
Right.
Okay. Thanks, John. Professional services, additional services request, which right now just is includes Perkins Eastman, which the subcommittee had a meeting with Joe Collada and Joe Costa. Got a lot of things, a lot of questions answered, a bunch of things ironed out. Unfortunately, we, with all of our different schedules, haven't had a chance to meet as a subcommittee again. So we need to do that soon so we can put some more review on that, but we don't have anything specific to report or recommend at this point. So that puts us at invoices, but before we do that, Does anybody have any more questions, et cetera, for the team or for Bob?
Perkman's Eastman doesn't have the original drawings, Bob?
It's the original drawings of the boiler room. I'm trying to see if I can get the demo plans because that'll have the original placements of everything.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
So, but Bob, are you needing the original plans from the original like construction of the school, which I would assume Perkins Eastman might have?
No, well, the demo plans would have the positions of the boilers, where all the pumps were, things of that nature.
Before,
I have to show before and after.
got it. So
I
before
could-
everything got moved, before, yeah, okay.
Bob, I could send you PDFs of the, I believe it'd be on the mechanical drawings.
All right, so but that's the
Mechanical
after,
demo.
not
No,
the
the
before.
mechanical demo drawings.
Oh, okay, that's what we need.
See what they showed. I'll have to pull it up. This is for Rockwell, right? Or both?
Right, even if it's just the dotted lines where the
Yep.
boilers were.
Do you need for both schools or just Rockwell? Sorry,
No, just Rockwell.
just Rockwell.
Just for that boiler room with the PCBs in the floor and
Yeah.
all of that nonsense, which isn't nonsense. It's just a frustrating situation.
I meant to say nuisance.
Nuisance, more than that. It's like, anyways. So our next thing is invoices, like I said, unless there's anything else that we need to look at, deal with, have questions answered, etc. And before we jump into invoices, let me ask, is there anything going on, team, Carolyn, Joe, Rizzo, that would require us to need to have a special meeting next week? I'm thinking no, but
I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that requires action.
Just the pay apps, if, that would be helpful.
Well, yeah, so here's the thing. So we don't have a final application for payment from Rizzo to review today. The draft pencil rec that was circulated needed significant revision based on my review and on Joe Collada's review, and and with the holiday and all the work that had to be done towards the TCO, we just didn't, we were unable to get a final rec out. So the only thing that might need action would be the Rizzo requisition. And whether it can wait until the regular meeting is sort of up to you.
So that the pencil one that you sent out, we can't really take any action on because the numbers have all changed, or the numbers are changing.
Hopefully some of the major trades numbers did change, yes, and we don't have that final requisition.
So we can't take action on that tonight.
Correct.
Okay. Just two things from me, which are going to be important going forward. As I was looking for invoices a little earlier today while I was at the municipal center. So I'm going to need you, and I'm going to probably bring it up at every meeting. I'm going to need all of you to do two things for me. And not all of you kind of fall into all the same categories, but like I said, looking for invoices. When the municipal center shut down, I didn't have access to the Public Site and Building Commission mailbox, which is located in the first selectman's office. Because everybody was working remotely, offices were closed, et cetera. There were times when Kathy was working from home. There were times when Dion was working from home. So people started putting public site correspondence in the registrar's mailbox. And that's not my mailbox. It's the mailbox for the 4 people in our office. So I was away for a week. I came home to a 1.5 inch thick stack of papers for me, voter registration applications for me to review. And in there were invoices. So I've already talked to Geraldine, I talked to Kathy, I've talked to Dion too, to ask that the public site stuff go back in the public site mailbox, since that office is now open and I can get in there regularly to find things. Because I don't want to lose stuff. You know, I don't want to lose paperwork that's supposed to be coming to me or to whoever in public site. That mailbox has access to anybody who needs to have, you know, if there's something dropped off for John with the boiler room thing, you can go into the public site mailbox and pick it up there. So we don't want to get stuff lost. So if we can make sure that we're using that public site mailbox and not the registrar's mailbox, that especially when as things are ramping up for the election, there's going to be more registrar stuff in that mailbox and it could easily get lost. The other is the email. I know that you all mail Chris Baldwin and Tom Galliford and Kathy and all the other people that work for the town at their bethel-ct.gov email. You can't email me at that one. That's my registrar email. And again, a few people have done that recently just because it's easy. It pops up because that's where you email Kathy. That's where you email John, you know, Tom Galliford and all the other town employees. And when it goes in there, I don't always see it. Or if I don't deal with moving it right away, you know, I had 10, 12, which for me is a lot of emails in my registrar email today. If a public site one comes in and I don't deal with it right away, it gets lost and I forget about it. And then I forget to deal with it or pass the info along to you. So if you can use my SBC Global for public site, please. If you have voter registration information you need to know about, use my registrar one. And again, I'll keep reminding you because I don't want stuff getting lost. And I want to make sure that I pay attention to it and get things taken care of as quickly as possible. So I think I have all the invoices. I found them eventually. I had some already and then some were waiting for me. So unless, like I said, if anybody came up with questions while I was hammering on, we'll do invoices. So just throw one up there, Geraldine, and I'll find it. And
All right, we'll start with.
I kind of have them in order of how you had them. I have Environment first.
Okay, yeah,
So,
Environment first.
yeah, and then I just went across. So, and that's the one I have is the invoice number 19060. Okay. So I'll make a motion that, and this is on and on with Environment. It's not the last one you're saying?
There will be, so this is for July. There will be another one for monitoring in August. I am hopeful that it is not to this extent because their work has certainly ramped down as abatement has been completed. And in August, there was only that small area outside the boiler room, the electrical room that was dealt with. So this is for all of the monitoring they did during July. They were on site 23 days, inspections, monitoring, and this is primarily PCBs, although probably some asbestos monitoring on roof activities.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve Environment Services invoice number 19060, invoice date August 17, 2020 for the month of July 2020 for Rockwell School in the amount of $24,626.10. I need a second. Bob seconds, Bob Germanero. Any questions? I think Geraldine's explanation probably pretty much covered everything. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. If you oppose, you're gonna have to yell or jump in because I'm assuming that everyone's approving. Next, IES.
IES at Johnson.
What's that number mean? The handwritten number.
I believe that came from finance. It's either an account number or something.
Right.
On the
Can't do
copy.
them and then. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to remind finance too not to put those in my mail or in the registrar mailbox.
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we approve invoice number 15069. Is that what it is? Yes.
Yes.
From IES dated August 12th, 2020 for period ending July 26, 2020 for Johnson School in the amount of $4,956.25.
Second.
Dave Olson, second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Done. And then IES, I make a motion that we approve invoice from IES, invoice number 15068 for Rockwell School, period ending 7/26/2020, in the amount of $4,483.05.
Second.
Dave Olson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Done. What do we got now? Special testing?
Special testing, yeah.
All right, let me find those. I think there's two of them, or maybe there's one. Nope,
There
there's
should be
two.
two. This, I've got Johnson up.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve Special Testing Laboratories invoice number 34456 for Johnson School. That's for the month of July, I'm assuming?
It is for July, yep.
For the month of July, gotta get to the page. $4,957.
Second.
Dave Olson, seconds. Any questions, etc.? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Done. I have to fetch my pen. And another one, special testing. I make a motion that we approve invoice from Special Testing Laboratories, invoice number 34461, for the month of July for Rockwell School, in the amount of $2,985.81.
Second.
Second, Dave's not there. Who seconds?
I did.
Who was that?
Me.
Dino.
Oh, Dino, thank you, Dino. All in favor? I can't see everybody right now because of screen sharing. All in favor? Aye.
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 Anybody opposes, say so. Done. Next,
STV,
okay,
Johnson.
all right. I make a motion that we approve invoice from STV, invoice number 9001-7914 for, I assume, the month of July for Johnson in the amount of $24,502.30.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Gil. Second from Gil. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. And STV for Rockwell. I make a motion that we approve the invoice from STV for Rockwell. Invoice number 9001-7915, month of July for Rockwell School in the amount of $15,105.20.
I'll second it.
Got a second from Gil. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. So Geraldine, I have a question with your invoices. Are you still just billing according to contract, or like how?
No, the total that's shown on these invoices now, where the contract amount has been increased by the amount of the additional service. So it's just been added in as, regular, we're just billing services the way we always did, but the total contract amount has increased.
Okay. Thanks. And we have a couple more. Perkins Eastman.
Yep. This is their regular construction services for Rockwell.
Okay, so I make an invoice that we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68961.00.0-31 for Rockwell School for the month of July 2020 in the amount of $4,614.01.
I'll second it.
Bill's got a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. And Rockwell FF&E.
Oh, okay.
Oh, just thought we'd stick with
I was going to do
Rockwell.
both construction, both basic services, but so Rockwell FF&E.
I make a motion that we approve invoice from Perkins Eastman, invoice number 68961.01.0-13, Rockwell School FF&E for the month of July in the amount of $2,750.
I'll second it.
Second. Thank you, Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. And then Perkins Eastman for Johnson. Make a motion that we approve invoice from Perkins Eastman, month of July for Johnson, invoice number 689.00.0-31. The amount of $7,701.75.
I'll second it.
Bill's got a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. I think this is the last one.
Yes, it is.
So I make a motion that we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68962.01.0-13. Rockwell School, or Johnson School, sorry, FF&E for the month of July, $5,140.
I'll second it.
Bill's got a second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. So I also have some original invoices from school specialty and
Yes, we will deal with furniture invoices at the next meeting.
So we need to see these, or did you get electronic copies of them?
I have electronic copies. I believe I do. You have school specialty, 3 of them, I think.
3 school specialty and 2 ESC. Unless the ESC.
Yes, and ESC, yep. So I do have those. And we have received other ones that we'll be forwarding up there too, but we'll deal with all the furniture. They need to be reviewed after the furniture punch list, make sure everything was there.
Great.
So we'll deal with those in 2 weeks.
Okay, because Kathy just got some. Those are the ones you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, that's what she just sent me today. Yep.
Well, I have these originals if you need to see them, or if you need to make sure we can compare, make sure we have them all, you can just let me know. And
I will. I should be doing that right before the meeting. We should be putting our heads together and making sure that you and I both have all of the invoices that I'm going to send them around. So I'll do that before the next meeting for sure. Because I'm thinking between now and then we'll receive some other furniture invoices, based on the end of month billing in August.
okay. Okay. Any other school stuff? There's an awful lot that still needs to be done.
Yes, there is.
And Carolyn has been including, not sure if you've been including everyone, but a lot of different people who had expressed interest in being in the OAC meeting. So if you're interested in doing that, make sure you let us know. We'll make sure you get the link. I've called in when I can. I can't always. Usually Thursdays I'm working. So, I mean, I tried calling in and on the phone and listening while I was working, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it gets to be a little distracting. So did anybody have anything else for? I think we're good. So we still have, let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Don Menti, you're still here? Yes. Okay. So school folks, we still have, you're good because we still have a little other stuff to deal with, but not school related. So y'all can go if you want to, or you can stick around and listen to the rest of us.
Nighty
And
night.
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not
have
sure
a
what
good
we're
night.
gonna do about. Yeah, Geraldine, I guess you'll keep us posted on what we need to do about
About,
the Rizzo app for payment.
when, that's, yeah, it's up to you. If you want to set a special meeting next week just to deal with that, or give it the 2 weeks. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay. All right, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, so Dino, Gil, Dave Olson, Menti, stick around. Kathy. Hi. So, I did email Chris Baldwin about the CO for the police station, figuring I wouldn't get an answer, which I didn't, because he's dealing with the schools. But as I reported last time, he had emailed Downs with a whole list of, here are things that were on my list from last year. Are these things done? And I don't know whether he and Downs have been communicating, and I'm not in there. So I don't have an update on that. I was hoping Richie would stick around because I asked for an update on the firing range and that engineering firm that had been hired to do a review, because I generally weekly, every other week, get something from Chief Pugner and something from Down saying what's going on. It's getting colder. You wouldn't know it today, but the cold weather is going to be here soon enough where if we're going to do this work, we want to get it done, which is I have relayed to Matt Knickerbocker and Board of Selectmen. He was supposed to get some information from the engineering firm. It's Brecht Engineering is the firm that they hired to do the review. I can't imagine it would take that long once they get up there and take a look at it and look at all the other reports and just say, yes, we agree with this, we don't agree with that, here's what we think you should do. And then jump on it and get the work going. I don't think that, I think that we as a commission should agree with what's put out there. I don't know as we have to approve it because it's, work that's supposed to be done. So kind of that's where we are with that. I don't know if you have any questions on any of that. I'm
Yes.
frustrated. John,
You know, if you know if the light issue is ever fixed in the flagpole, because I heard a couple of weeks ago they were still flickering away.
that I don't know. I know that when I think it was Chief Pugner who sent the email with the lights flickering, or the video of the lights flickering, Jeff Anderson said Ferguson's on it. That's last I heard. So I'll have to check on that too. Because if they were flickering, it's like, is that going to be our ongoing kind of nonsense flagpole lights? I hope they don't have flagpole lights that up at they were talking about the flagpoles at the schools. I hope they don't have those flagpole lights.
They have some sort of flagpole lights.
Don't have these. So I'll find out about that. Anything else? If we, people good for next Tuesday night if we have to, do you want to have a meeting just to approve Rizzo's application for payment?
No, it can wait.
Yeah.
I would agree. Give them some more time to haggle with the people they have to haggle with to get their numbers right. Because this has been an ongoing issue. So, so that's kind of it. Unless anybody has any questions.
Yeah, who's on the review committee for looking at Perkins Eastman's request? Was it Roy, John Perna, and someone else?
So Roy and John Perna and Dave Olson had agreed to do that. And when they had the first meeting over at Roy's office, I was in the area, so I stopped in, and I think John Perna wasn't able to make it that day. And then we did not Zoom, but some other meeting like this with Roy, Dave Olson, me, and John Joe Collada and Joe Costa, we asked them a lot of questions and looked at, they've been saying how that the figures that they were giving us for, the actual figures for, I think it was like May, June, July, I think they actually had August, were trending lower than what they had originally looked at. And so, their idea of an amount not to exceed, that amount is not going to be exceeded, but we wanted to look at possibly putting together sort of a counter proposal, but we haven't had time to do that yet. I don't know if you want to jump in, if you want to be a part of that, John.
No, I don't, but it just, again, as I said a couple of meetings ago, we have a contract with them that they executed the contract. It was approved by the town, signed off by the town, signed off by them, and now they're saying they made a mistake on their contract. Now, anything that we ask them to do outside of the contract, yes, we should pay them for. I mean, this is my opinion. If it's something that we requested, they should be reimbursed, they should be paid for.
So
But,
I think, John, right now it's difficult to discuss that without Dave Olson and Roy here, because they were part of the conversation with Joe Collada and Joe Costa, where Joe Collada and Joe Costa were pointing out some things that they felt were outside the scope, that they felt were outside the contract scope, so to speak. So, I appreciate your, pointing that out, because I think we do need to take that into consideration. However, discussing that here is going to be incomplete because we don't have Roy and Dave to.
okay,
I mean, we could, if we need to have our own meeting, or if you want to, get some input, we could have get together with Roy and Dave and look at all that too. We know that Perkins Eastman has said that when they put their numbers together, they were looking at it from a viewpoint of working with, a general contract or a construction manager who had the kind of experience that they had worked with before. They put some of it on Rizzo. They've got to take some of it themselves though too, because, as we're looking at some of the stuff that we even talked about tonight, it's on them, I think, some of it.
The paper insulation's on them.
Yeah, what's that about?
Both feeders going across the school is on them.
Well, I don't know if it's on them. I would
It
say,
is on them.
I would
It's
say
on them.
in
Without a doubt, it's on them.
a situation like that, it's generally a contractor who's going to look at it and make some choices about which way to run things, but they do it in coordination with construction manager, with the design team, etc. It's going to be, they're all going to be pointing at each other and say, no, it's yours, no, it's yours. But like I said, if we can come up with some sort of counteroffer and say, this is what we're going to do.
But didn't the very beginning, didn't they all say they used the BIM modeling program for these buildings?
When we interviewed them, or?
Yeah, John, you're right. When we interviewed, we asked them that.
Yeah, and oh yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
Did you turn the damn thing on?
Right. Well, I wasn't part of that interview process. That was that subcommittee that John Perna was part of, along with some Board of Ed people. And
We weren't going to pick anybody that didn't have it.
right. And
We're either going to have BIM or Rivet, either one.
yeah. Well, again, if there's, if we get some information together and have another Q&A with a subcommittee, doesn't have to be the same subcommittee. There can be other, I don't have to be in on it. If John Perna can make it again, or if John Menti, you want to get in on it, that's fine with me. Ask them some more questions, because I think that, they're good at dancing around and making it sound good.
A good point that just came up. Rizzo's an electrical contractor. They should also have been on top of that too. Thank you.
On top of the feeder thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you got, well, we could sit here and it's going to have to get resolved at a later date, but it's going to come to a boiling point.
Well, I think what happens is, there's that change order hanging out there. We don't agree to accept it and it comes out of the construction contingency.
And that may happen.
We still pay for it in the long run, but it doesn't come out of the owner's contingency. It's not a change to the GMP. It comes out of the
Right.
construction manager's contingency. So, anything else?
I'm good.
So
Make a
then,
motion, adjourn?
I was waiting for you to do that.
Hey, no problem.
I think John Perna seconded it. I can read his.
I'll second it.
I
too.
can read.
Yeah. Hasta la vista, baby.
Thank you, everyone. Good
See you
night.
later.
Good night, everyone.
Just want to
Good
mention,
night.
no small thing that school's open today.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent thing. A lot of pushing from some people.
Miracle happened.
Yep. Kathy, I'll bring you invoices sometime tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
good night.